The region of Sauternes sits 40 kilometers south of the city of Bordeaux and is world famous for its lusciously sweet wines.
Late autumn morning strolls through the vineyards of Sauternes can be pretty hazardous. A blanket of mist will enshroud these ripening grapes, caused by a confluence of two rivers, the Sauternes and Garonne. The mist encourages a fungus called Botrytis cinerea, often going by the name of noble rot.
The skin of Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon and Muscadel grapes are permeated by its spores, allowing water to escape, shriveling the grapes and concentrating the sugars, acidity and glycerol content, bringing a richness of texture to the wine. The flavours not only intensify, but turn from fresh fruit to dried fruit, and are seasoned with Botrytis' own exotic saffron and ginger spice. Harvesting takes place in successive forays into the vineyard known as trees, so that individual grapes with the ideal amount of Botrytis can be harvested, both a time-consuming and expensive process. The wines of Sauternes were classified based on their market value, alongside those of the Medoc in 1855, and split into 11 Deuxième Cru and 9 Premier Cru.
And one outstanding Premier Cru Supérieur. That wine is Château d'Yquem.
Perched on the highest point of the Sauternes commune, the estate has a noble history. Once owned by Eleanor, Duchess of Aquitaine, it became the property of the English crown when her husband, Henri Plantagenet, ascended to the throne as King Henry II. In 1453, at the end of the 100 Years' War, it returned to French hands.
It wasn't until 1593, when Jacques de Sauvage took ownership, that the current chateau was built. In 1785, his descendant, Françoise Joséphine de Sauvage d'Yquem, married Count Louis Amédée Le Salus and was widowed just 3 years later.
She went on to run the property single-handedly, winning over many Yquem devotees along the way, including American President Thomas Jefferson. Yquem stayed in the Le Salus family for over 200 years until it was acquired by a company synonymous with luxury, LVMH, Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton. It remains the supreme example of this spectacular sweet golden nectar that is Sauternes.
What it makes Yquem so unique is probably the location of the vineyard. We are here at the crossing point between 4 different types of terroir, and I think we are the only chateau to be at this crossing point. We cover 100 hectares of vine and 4 different types with clay soils, limestone, gravel and sand. And this mosaic of different soils probably give a big complexity to the wine when we blend all those different grapes from different soils. So I think it's one of the biggest important point for Yquem. The second point is that we are at the top of the hill here. We are on one of the highest point of Sauternes, not very high, 80 meters above sea level, but it gives us permanently higher temperature. For example, we are never sensitive to frost, and also a lot of drafts in the after season. This windy situation help us to dry the grapes and to have a better concentration after the infection by noble rot, what is of course very important. Noble rot, of course, is our specialty. It gives to the wine flavor of marmalade notes, orange notes, apricot, all the tropical fruits. So a lot of fruitiness, but also vanilla, very sweet flavor, which are so pleasant on the palate. Our particularity here in Sauternes, and of course in Yquem, is to make the harvest in several times and several trees. We select the grapes. So we did on the average around 5 waves of picking from end of September until beginning of November. And during those waves of picking, we take the part of bunches or sometimes berry by berry to take only the best grapes infected by noble rot, but as well very concentrated and pure. What can I say about Yquem is that really it's a special place, a special estate, a special wine. There is no equivalent in the world about this beautiful terroir and the play with the noble rot. I think we have more than 400 years of story here at Yquem, but playing always with the risk between noble rot, so a very natural process, and winemaking which has to be very precise. So this playing, the risks that we take every year with the noble rot, with the climate, is really uncommon and really specific, and that's why Yquem is one of the most famous wine in the sweet wine world, because it's an amazing phenomenon that we are playing with here.
Why not try pairing different wines with your cheese selection on board? Your cabin crew will be happy to advise on the most favourable cheese and wine combinations.
2005 is a very interesting vintage to pair with. You're right, the refinement and the finesse of the wine gives him a lot of facility to pair with food, and I like particularly pairing Yquem with the seafood, which is not so common, but with, for example, lobster or shellfish or fish, very refined fish, why not? And for me, the match is the best, because the seafood don't take over the wine, and on the contrary, the wine doesn't decrease the flavor of the food. So the pairing is perfect, and I like very much. But we can pair also with poultry. It's very traditional pairing here in Sauternes. On the Sundays, for example, here the family were used to pour a chicken, roasted chicken, with Sauternes wine, a glass of Sauternes, and it's very good, very simple, but very interesting. Of course, with cheese, it's a very good pairing as well.
Y is not sweet. When you taste this one, you have not impression to have the sugar, because you have 7 grams, but you have the freshness, a lot of fruity, but you have the little aroma of white peach and dry apricot. It's very easy to have the association with Asia food, for example, and Y is very atypical. It's very confidential, because I don't produce many bottles of this wine, and between 10,000 and 12,000. Is unique. It's very difficult to compare with another white dry wine in Bordeaux. It's unique, Y. I tasted the 2017. I am very impressed, because this vintage have just a little characteristic of Sauvignon, so very elegant Sauvignon, but I love the freshness and the fruity of this wine. I think it's the best moment to serve Y. It's a fantastic aging wine, but I tasted just 2 days, and the 2000, and the 2000 I think is have the very, very interesting evolution, like a Sauternes wine. Because you have a little similarity, because it's in Sauternes, it's in Château d'Yquem, but just also you have the little action of both ratas, and gives to the wine a little characteristic of Sauternes wine. When I fly to Emirates and I have the service of Yquem and Cheval Blanc, I think is you have the very lot of detail in the service with the temperature and the glass. Is a very you are the great ambassador of the wine and the top wine around the world. And also you are also the very nice association with the food. Very intelligent. You associate the food with the wine. You have the fantastic synergy.
Emirates cabin crew undergo rigorous training in all aspects of onboard safety and service. Wine training is no different, with courses provided by the UK-based Wine and Spirit Education Trust. These internationally recognised qualifications are integrated to the Emirates training programme, and as of 2020, a Level 1 certificate is held by every cabin crew member graduating from Emirates Aviation College. Emirates' stringent selection procedure and strictly controlled storage environment guarantee that each of the wines and spirits we list are delivered to our aircraft in pristine condition. Thorough staff training ensures the perfect serve and completes the journey from the vineyards of France to your glass.
And so we reach the end of our Epicurean journey through the vineyards of France, meeting some of the wines and spirits producers that Emirates are proud to call partners. Each one of them knows that they can place their trust in our team to make sure that their craftsmanship reaches you in perfect condition, and that each cuvée or cru is served with as much savoir-faire and attention to detail as it took to create.